I'm finally back. Finally back. Guess who's back? Back again. Shady's back. Tell a friend. Guess who's back? Guess who's back? Because I was like on my podcast actually, I've been slipping, and then it's like I've been like, oh yeah, I recently just had a 3 day social media break. That's fair, and then the last episodes that I did was episode 6 and 7, and that was to do with that was to do with the horror season, right? And wow, do you know my Halloween season went by so quickly? It went by so quickly. I guess because I thought I wasn't gonna go out on Halloween, and I ended up going out. And then obviously because I went out, I only watched like one Halloween film. I watched Beetlejuice, and I didn't obviously I didn't get to watch anything else. Not that I'm complaining, but it's like, even to say with how I made an article about Halloween, and then it's like, yeah. Like, you guys will see that article, but I need to fix it up, because obviously I didn't watch those films on Halloween, so I kind of have to shorten it and keep it short and sweet and say, do you know what, like, I didn't go out. I went outside and I said I wasn't. But moving on, today's topic of discussion is Joker Two. Filet de do to I wish I could speak French, but going off tangent, like the sequel name is so gorgeous. Like, and then okay, let's say this controversial opinion. I liked Joker Two, right? And like, do you know what I mean? It's like I went to go and see Joker 2 with my friends, right? And a lot of us liked the film. Do you know what I mean? Some of us didn't, and that's what happened. Like, it's a mixed bag. Like, films can create that kind of reaction. They always can create like a mixed bag kind of feeling where it's like, some people liked it, some people don't. And then I think for me, I say it in one of my previous podcasts, but I said for me they tick the box for me because I'm a musical fanatic. We said you guys did your thing on that, like you chose your audience correctly, and it's like I thought it was gonna annoy me because you think that to yourself when watching a musical, like you think to yourself, maybe after a few more songs it's gonna get a bit annoying, but it was like no, even though I heard what people were saying because they felt like the topic of Joker number two, like it had such a serious and somber topic that why did they put songs in it? But then I still thought to myself, it worked. Like it just did. Like the songs worked in the film because I feel like we know that from the first one. I loved the first one, by the way. Like I remember when Send in the Clowns. Yeah. Send in the Clowns was a song from the first one, and like that song, yeah, it's like it's not a song even made for Joker because obviously it was by Frank Sinatra, and then it was also sung by Judy. I think I know Judy Collins, Judy something, yeah, and then I think Barbara Streisand also sings it as well. But like it's a song that like so yeah, it's not like it was made for that film, but like yeah, it just works so well. Like Selling the Clowns works for Joker. And then it's the same way that the songs in this film worked for Joker too. Like, I know, like, I'm like to myself, yeah, it's just because Joker's life is supposed to be a joke. Do you understand? Joker, joke, we get it. So, it's like, yes, they want to put songs in to make it like a tragedy, but like comical, It's always, you always do that kind of spin, like a tragedy made comical. Why the message in Joker is put a smile on that face. And what else makes you happy than music? Am I wrong? No. So, but it's fine if I am also. I think like it's good to open up discussions. So like yeah, that's what you want to do when creating any kind of media, like a podcast, like writing. It's like you want to form discussions around it. Like even with Joker 2, I was like, I know that I saw loads and loads of reviews that bashed it. I saw loads of them. But I was like, I still saw people who were rooting for it because they were just like, the film did well. And then also something else, like, I thought to myself, I think my takeaway from the film was like, they could have given us more. They could have given us more Harley, like as in just her as a person. They could have given us more Harley, and of course the film's about Joker. But if they were gonna invite her into this film, then I wanted more. Like, do you know what I mean? I wanted, like, I've always loved Margot Robbie's Harley Quinn. Like, she's my favorite. She's like my favorite Harley Quinn ever. I mean, she's the only one. I mean, is she right? Yeah, no, she is. She's the only one. She's the main one, Margot Robbie. But like Lady Gaga, it's like you've put Lady Gaga in a film such as this, and you don't use her to her ability. You just put her in there to sing, which I felt like, okay, they want to make this film into a musical, but they put her in there because she's a singer and she sings, and it feels a bit too easy because they're like, oh yeah, you sing, so of course we're gonna have you sing in the film, if that's okay with you. But then it's just like, I guess if you say to yourself, if they scrapped out all the singing, they could have probably given us more of an insight into Harley. They could have given us more groundwork. Do you know what I mean? More, like, what you want from a film. Like, probably more gist, more hold. Like, I think to myself, like, probably lots of the music and the singing was, like, having people, like, having people slip out, but, like, slip in and out, slip back in and out, like, not just stay zoomed in, but, like, when it's like you watch something, you're like, wow, another song. Not that I did that, but like I'm saying, people would feel like that. Like I remember when I was sitting next to my friend, they just started laughing every time the song came on. But I feel like my favorite part, like my favorite scene of the film was probably when Harley sings Close to You to Joker, and like behind when she comes to visit him. And then I also liked the scene of obviously when Harley blows up the prison. And also, okay, I don't want to say too much. Like, obviously, it's like I always say to myself when I started this series, I was like, we don't want to be a spoiler. Like, we don't want to be a spoiler, yeah. But maybe actually, do you know what? Hold on a second. Let me say, I'm even gonna time it. 7:56. So 7:56 from here. Spoiler warning. So, how crazy that Joker dies in the end. That was so weird. That was actually the only part that probably aggravated me, actually. Everyone would think, oh yeah, you didn't hate the music. I'm like, no, I didn't hate the music. I hated the ending. What was that? I sat through that whole film, and at first we were like, oh, it's a musical. We're not sure if we can get behind that. Then I can get behind it. And then he dies. And I'm like, that's not what I wanted to see. And it's so like, it's so final. And I think like films always like to do this type of thing. It's like, I don't know, like they'll kill their characters and then like bring them back, which will probably even be the case with Joker, because they might want to make it into some theoretical thing where, I don't know, the whole thing was a dream, and I've seen Joker getting stabbed. Was that even real? I don't know. But then I also do think they wanted him to die in the sense that, like, he was a martyr and then he ended up not being one anymore. And then somebody had to take over from him to be the new Joker because he lost his way. Do you understand? Because I think, remember, like, in the film, Harley's like, oh, yeah, so in the film, Harley comes across as being disappointed in him after he doesn't stick to her idea of him. And she's like, yeah, but you're not Joker. You're just off a fleck. And then because of that, and because he's not the idolized version, there's that guy in the inmate who then stabs Joker, and it's like, you think to yourself, the person that stabs him, they are going to become the new Joker in a way, somebody that can do it rightfully right, and not just say like, because then obviously the whole court case was like, oh, actually, they wanted to say that it was insanity, which is what they usually want to do in cases like that anyway. They will plead insanity rather than saying, yeah, I just killed those people. But then in the end, obviously, that's what Joker decides to do. And then he says, actually, there is no Joker, like, I'm just me. And like, yeah, I killed those people. And we're like, right, that's fine. And so I just think to myself that maybe that's what they wanted us to think about the ending. That like, it's time for a new person. It's time for a new person, time for a new face. Which is not crazy because this is a second Joker. But you're still just like, I don't know why you'd end it like that, you know? We could have squeezed out so much more. Then I don't know. Maybe with Joker 2, we don't like where they've gone with the story. I don't like where they've gone with it. Or the whole way they've decided to do Joker probably as a whole. Like, I don't know. I think when I watched the first Joker though, I was like, of course, they want to do a dive into his background. But when you think about these Joker films, you think they're not anywhere near to Heath Ledger, are they? You know, they're not near to Heath Ledger Joker. They're not similar either. Do you know what I mean? They're not similar either. They're way off the mark. And it can come across a bit like confusing. Like they've just made this story. But I mean, it's like, I don't know. Of course, they knew that they had to turn it in this way because obviously Heath Ledger is dead, rest in peace to him. But like, that's why they had to do it like that. And that because of that, they didn't want to then jump off from his story and then put that into Joker. But I think like that's what they could have done. Do you know what I mean? If I was the creator, I would have done that. I would have done some kind of story, right? I'm going to drop it to you because I'm quite a storyteller myself. Do you know what I mean? So I'll drop it to you guys. I would have done from like, I don't know, I forgot what film in the Batman trilogy, like in the whole chapters of the film. Sorry, I forgot where we leave off with Joker. But what I would have done is I would have jumped off from one of those films, and then I would have left it as a thing where you're jumping off right from there, right from where we last saw Joker, right? And then obviously you dive into all of that, you give us background, and then you wouldn't have all this, I don't know, confusing stuff of Joker shooting the guy on the TV program. And like, but I'm saying like, hear my story. Like, my story sounds better. Do you get it? My story sounds better. It sounds better because it's like, you know, it's not like you guys are just curating some new kind of story. I mean, of course, they wanted to stick with the angle of Joker being bullied, which we know that he was, but I don't know, like, I think to myself, like, when I think about Heath Ledger's Joker and I think about the Joker that they've made, I think, like, the Joker being made because of bullying doesn't, like, sit right to me. Like, I don't feel like that's why Heath Ledger's Joker would have been made in the slightest. Because Heath Ledger's Joker's thing was always that, what's it called? He tells the story, remember, of when he gets the long smile, right? And how puts the knife in my mouth, like, you know, the line. That's what he says. It's the knife in my mouth, and then he does the like the display of him getting his mouth cut open, and it's like we would want to zoom in on that. Take us back to there. Right? I want to know that insight, right? I want to know why is it? Because I think he says, was it his mum? Who? I forgot who cuts him in his mouth. Yeah, but it's like, take us back to there. Why did Joker end up getting cut inside his mouth, right? And then because obviously the line is, put a smile on that face. That's what he says in the film. But no. Even then, we're like, okay, we want to zoom in on that aspect. We want to hear about that story. Not the one that they've done, you know, and they wanted to go with talking about who was it? About Wayne being his dad? Or I don't even know, man. That part was confusing as well. Like what? Arthur's Arthur is Wayne's he's Arthur's his son? And I was like, what? I'm really confused. Like, yeah, really confused. But like I said, the ending was the most confusing part. The music wasn't the problem. It was the ending. That's obviously my personal opinion. You know, anybody else could tell you, yeah, they didn't like the music. And they just thought it wasn't necessary. And I would 100% say that I agree. And oh my gosh, you know what was so interesting to me as well? He was so much skinnier in this film. I was like, wow, Joaquin, got it. But yeah, Joaquin always must have to really, not work out. It's like he has to starve, because I was going to say, sometimes actors will have to work out for their roles, but he would have just had to just not eat. And that's crazy. And that's, they call it method acting. I was like, what's the filmography term? But yeah, no, it's method acting, because obviously they have to go out of their way to do certain things, which is what I saw about Tony Todd, RIP to him. But Tony Todd, he said, so he died the other day, and he obviously when he was in Candyman, he wanted them to be real bees, and he got paid for each bee stung that he got. And he obviously made I forgot the amount. And that would be a good thing for me to know right now. But he just got a lot from it. Because obviously, of course, if you're going to do a scene with a bunch of bees, you're going to get stung loads of times. And that's commitment. And it's one thing I've always loved about film and acting. Because actors really do test their waters, they really do put themselves out there, right? Roles change people, do you know what I mean? It's also how Jeffrey Dahmer had an effect on Evan. It had an effect on him, very much so. And it's yeah. And I don't want to talk about that, because actually I don't want to talk about Ryan Murphy. I don't want to. I need to film a TikTok on it though, on Ryan Murphy, just a small bit though. But if I do a podcast episode on Ryan Murphy, I'm gonna get charged up and I'm gonna get mad. So generally, because it's why would he make obviously Ethan said yes to the role. That's fine, but you already know how much this role will put this person through. We know we know who Jeffrey Dahmer is. We know what he's about. We know that he's a murderer and he's a monster, like the title he uses. So we know these things. And then it's you don't think about the repercussions of how Evan will feel afterwards. Right. That makes so much sense. Yeah, but no. As I said, we're getting sidetracked. And if I talk about Ryan Murphy, we're going to be here for a really long time. But, yeah, I just was saying that. Well, I noted that because, of course, he's obviously in prison now. He's in prison in that whole entire film. So he obviously had to have that look about him of barely not eating in there. And that obviously his appearance reflects on the subject of the film and how he's faced with more pain in this one because he's in jail rather than outside, which is that's always the thing. You think sometimes you're oh yeah, I'm in jail, I'm gonna be safer in here, but that's not really the case, because it's obviously that's not what really happens. So he was in there getting abused by the guards, and it's he was being bullied by the guards in the jail, same way he was bullied out on the outside. But it's crazy because obviously I was wow, he's so skinny, and I was he's skinny because he's in jail and he's not eating, and I was that's crazy. But it was yeah, I think you know, and even probably like that whole prison bits, like when it was the prison bits, I think to myself, maybe like those were the very interesting bits of the film, if you say aside from the music. Because the music obviously only really sets in like, it's not from, I'm not sure if it's from the very beginning, but it's like a bit like, it's a bit in the middle and like a bit after and like a bit probably near the end. But I wouldn't say that, yeah, I wouldn't say the music is just, you know, right jump in. But like, I mean, like in the prison, yeah, there was just scenes where like they were doing that bits correctly. Like in terms of how severe it can be in there. And like, Arthur taking his pills, all that kind of stuff. That was all well and good, right? And the guy from Banshees of Inisherin as well. I noted him and I was like, wow, nice to see you in this. And of course he was very good as a security guard, but I knew he would be. Like, hello. He is so good at acting in general because he was in, I think, yes, he was in Harry Potter. Sorry, my bad. Because I was like, I always know him. I always yeah, I always recognize him all the time. But nowadays, obviously, I'm like, I recognize him from Banshees of Inisherin because obviously that's the most recent thing I've watched him in, aside from Joker, of course. But you know what I think? To end off, to wrap up, I think people should form their own opinion on Joker 2. And with all things, you have to form your own opinion on all things. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, that's why I've been meaning to. Something that I've been meaning to do. I forgot that I started the Katy Perry album and I still haven't finished. I don't know why I haven't finished, but it's like, I don't know. I think it's the way that, yeah, I think as a society, when we hear that something's bad, it's like, obviously, it probably does plant a seed in our heads that it's like, oh, if it's bad, you like globally, universally, we're like, probably we're going to feel the exact same way. And I mean, I think I was on like track 2 or 3 of the Katy Perry album, and I thought to myself, surely I'm not going to hate this that much. Because as you know, we're all Katy Perry fans, or we have been, if not now, we have been Katy Perry fans. So I was like, oh, surely maybe I could like this. But then I think when I was playing it, I was like, I don't like it. But then that's what I'm trying to say. My main message is that forming your own opinion about things is always the best thing. Like, people can beat a film like crazy, and it can still be good. Like, I think there's a thing that like me and my brother even talk about sometimes. I'll say to him, oh yeah, I love this movie, and he'll say, no, it's garbage. And I'm like, okay, but like it's not a thing where oh, if he says it's garbage, my perspective changes, or I'm instantly like, okay, yeah, this film is rubbish. I'm like, no, this is actually one of my favorite films. So there's no way that you could change my mind about this, you know? And it's the same with how I felt about Joker, because it's just like everyone likes different things. And it's like, you might like oranges and I don't. If that's like, you might think that's a crazy comparison, but it's factual. That's what I'm just trying to use it in this context. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, watch Joker 2. I mean, you know what would be great? And I think that's what sometimes always is good about sequels, yeah. But if you watch them both in one sitting, I love that. I love doing that. Like, you watch the first one and then you watch the second one after. Or the same way that people always do Harry Potter marathons. Yeah, it works just the same way. Because it's like then, of course, you're not forgetting anything because you've just watched the other film in the same breath. I think, you know, a marathon that I've been doing, so look, just to end off, yeah, a marathon that I've been doing, like right now, I've been doing the Planet of the Apes. I've been doing Planet of the Apes, and I think I'm on the last one now, but I can't remember when I started. feel like it might have been last year, but no, or maybe I would have to check. But like I started the Planet of the Apes marathon, and now obviously I'm on the most recent one, which was Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes, and it was a really good ride. It was a really good ride, and of course, because I did a marathon, I didn't forget anything. I was like, I know everything. I know everything there is to know. Actually, I tell a lie. The only bit that I didn't know was when, yeah, the whole thing with the virus spreads out. That was a bit where I was like, I remember that the human population got wiped out. I was like, I don't exactly remember why. Of course, they clarify that like in every next film, but I'm still like, I don't remember that. But I just think to do Joker 1 and Joker 2 together would be very, very, very beneficial. But then it might be a bit severe if you think about it, because if you jump from a film that has no music to one that does, you might feel a bit weird. I mean, in one sitting. I know that I would. It's like, of course, on the day that I watched Joker 2, I was in the cinema with my friends having snacks. And I don't think I was thinking about the first one. I was a tiny bit, but practically no. I think, like, yeah, with Joker 2, you could practically go into the film blind. There's sometimes with films, sometimes you can't. Like I would say with like Dune and that, you can't necessarily go into the sequel blind. But I think with Joker 2 you can, because obviously, you know, he's in jail. And then it's like, why he's in jail. He's a murderer. He's a killer. We already knew that. So it's the same kind of thing. You're just like, you don't really need you don't really need the context, but it's however you want to do it. And that's always whatever matters, do you know what I mean? And it's even to say, if you don't want to watch Joker 2, that's fine, but I loved it, and I hope you like listening to my podcast and me yapping. See ya!